Thank you all for being here. This press conference was called for a very, very important reason. We have an announcement to make, and I say we because it's a team. And the team includes not only members of county staff, the Army Corps of Engineers, Florida DEP, and Florida Fish and Wildlife, but most importantly, the members of the public, the members of the community that did everything possible to help make this a reality. I have the honor to announce that we have the dredge permit for Clam Pass. And I'm going to hold it up right now for everybody to see. Date stamp February 28th, produced by, thank you, produced by government in record time. And I hate to break it to everyone in the public, but record time for government is 60 days, which is an unbelievable feat. Now, what I would like to do is give specific thanks to a number of individuals. I'd like to start with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I'd like to thank Liz Young and her staff. At U.S. Fish and Wildlife, special thanks to Jeff Howe and his staff. And at the Army Corps of Engineers, Tunis McElwain and Bill DeFrance went out of their way to make this a reality. We are exceptionally grateful to this group of amazing bureaucrats. At the county level, I'd like to call forward our county manager, Leo Oakes. Leo's steadfast leadership in this project turned everything around for this community. We owe him a debt of gratitude.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
And it was his team that made it a reality, led by Neil Dorrell. Neil represents the Pelican Bay Services Division and was amazing in the effective administration and implementation of this project. And then our consultants, without whom this never would have been possible. Tim Hall from Terrell Hall and Associates, an environmental consulting and coastal engineering firm, literally was hand-carrying this permit from agency to agency. They worked 24/7 to get this done for the community. And to Joe Foster, Ken Humiston, and Brett Moore of Humiston and Moore Consulting Engineers, who came up with a design that will open the pass for at least a little bit of time, we hope. This exceptional team working all together has turned this very difficult project into what now seems a very easy reality. I'd like to announce that we also have the construction equipment in place and that we intend to begin dredging hopefully as early as Monday. We are just waiting for a construction site inspection by the Department of Environmental Protection. We have heard that that will happen hopefully Monday morning, and I actually am optimistic that we may see a shovel in the sand that's a little bit bigger than the good citizens who are digging out there by as soon as Monday afternoon. So I want to thank everybody for their help, their contribution, and their sincere good wishes for the success of this endeavor. And what I'd like to do now is open this press conference up to allow you to ask any of the people who are standing with me here today, the professionals, as well as the concerned citizens, the citizens who did so much to make a difference, anything you want. And I'll turn the mic over to them and let them introduce themselves as you ask questions. Any questions?
What's the timeline? When are you expecting it to be done?
Neil, would you like to answer that?
Contract is for 30 days. We have a very motivated and local contractor, Kyle Construction, who understands his reputation is on the line, and he told us that if we would just get out of his way, that he thinks that he can do it in 15 days. And so that in itself would be amazing, given the fact we're going to move about 20,000 cubic yards of material.
Any other questions?
Where's that material going to get moved to?
Tim, would you like to answer that?
It's going to be placed on
Can you
the...
speak in the mic?
I can. It's going to be placed on the beach to the north and south of the pass, both. It'll go onto the actual upland portion of the beach.
the front, back, front? How does that work?
The permits allow us, basically require us to start on the bay side and work our way out so that the last thing that we dig is actually the opening to the Gulf.
Can beachgoers expect like any disruptions or anything in that area?
There are going to be some disruptions where we're placing the fill and where we're digging. There'll be some areas roped off and some signage to, to stay out of the area.
County manager, though, has authorized work to be done 24 hours a day, and so they will bring in a bank of lights and will be working a second and third shift in order to meet that 15-day timeline.
And that also minimizes then the disruptions to the beachgoers.
How deep will they dig the pass?
It's 4.5 feet from the zero sea level, so it'll be about 4 feet deep at low tide and about 6 feet deep at high tide.
And how wide is the cut at the mouth of the pass?
The bottom of it will be 45 feet wide, and the top of it is kind of dependent upon what the beach profile is, but it'll be around, you help me out, Joe, around 57 feet at the top.
And this is the nationwide 3, right?
The nationwide 3 permit was what was issued, yes ma'am.
And how long do you expect, I know you don't know, but how long do we expect it to hold?
It's how long do we hope? I hope for 2 years. If we have a Category 3 storm come through, it could close this summer. I mean, it's going to be completely dependent upon environmental conditions.
Would a second pass carved into the bay prevent this from happening?
A second pass would actually make it worse because it would take water away from the pressure needed to keep the pass open. So when you have water going in and coming out, that volume of water going out is what helps keep it open. So if you opened another pass, you would have less volume, so it would actually close in faster.
And I'd like to add one thing. We have developed a very positive relationship with the agencies who have issued this permit, and they understand the fragility of the pass and the potential for it closing again. And as such, if something like this were to reoccur, they're in position now to do what's necessary to expeditiously issue a permit to allow us to address any emergency that might come up. So this has actually been a wonderful experience in terms of developing a very positive working relationship with the permitting agencies.
Does work on the long-term permit start already?
Yes, we're actually going to be moving forward with that, and we're hoping to have a 10-year permit which will be in place going forward. And what we're actually doing with respect to that 10-year permit is we're updating the existing permit. The original permit was
Management
issued, I'm sorry, forgive me. We're updating, I always say that incorrectly, it's really, it's the management plan that we're updating because the permit is a function of the management plan. And we had a management plan that was intended to restore the mangroves that were dying off. And we've changed the objective because we've accomplished the incredible. We actually have achieved what is considered the single most successful mangrove restoration in the state of Florida. And as such, now what we're moving from is restoration to preservation. And the management plan will be adjusted accordingly. The permit will be issued on the basis of that new management plan, and hopefully we'll be happy for 10 years to come.
If the pass does fill in again, are you going to have to go get another permit?
We would get the same type of permit that we have here and go through the same steps that we went through to accomplish what we've achieved today.
You did want to take more sand out of the pass, and I think the agencies told you that they couldn't.
That's correct.
How big of a problem is that?
It's not a big problem. It just changes the scope of the project, and the engineers thought if we took more out that it would allow the pass to stay open longer, but the Corps has limited us in terms of how much sand we can take out as a consequence of their guidelines, and so we adjusted accordingly. And it's actually interesting because the Corps guidelines and the state guidelines with respect to sand removal and placement are in conflict. So it makes for an interesting discussion, all of which was very, very expeditiously resolved by our very competent consulting engineers and environmentalists.
Is this park going to remain open during the 15 days?
Yes, yes. And in fact, the county manager has been incredible in terms of getting the contract in place. As you know, at my request and the board's approval, we expedited the contracting of the dredgers. And the way the county manager has structured that agreement, the work will be going on 24/7 to get it done as quickly as possible so as not to disrupt the beachgoers from their ability to enjoy the facility. And we're going to regret not seeing everyone out there with shovels. You know, I'm really, in fact, one of our lead shovelers is here. Do you want to come up here and tell us how much you're going to miss digging? This wonderful constituent was a leader in the charge with respect to shoveling the pass. Why don't you say a few words about what it was like and how much you're going to miss it?
Yeah.
Well, it all began about 8 weeks ago, and again, I'm hearing light speed to get this to this point. I can say some of those days when we were digging 4 and 5 hours a day, and the blisters were popping, and the stream was running just so gently. We didn't know we would ever get to this point. I personally developed a hernia 2 weeks ago, so I haven't been digging, but we've had people out there every day, and on weekends even more. So when I went out there yesterday and saw that basically the beach was back to the way it was before we got started, I was a little discouraged. But when I saw the track hoe coming out, I said something's got to be happening soon, and just in the nick of time, because there was no more digging from the shovels, and they're all off the beach right now, so there's no shovels on the beach. But there's one really big shovel with a front end 4 feet across. Excuse me.
That's
We're
great.
excited. And thank you to all those folks.
I want to thank you for all the digging.
Yeah, a whole lot of people. I was just one.
As absolutely, and everybody else that followed you setting that example. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
for all you did.
All the diggers, hundreds.
Hundreds and
Appreciate it.
hundreds. We thank the hundreds and hundreds of diggers.
And Rod and Alex, father and son, that really started this whole thing back at their Christmas vacation. I will make sure I get a hold of them out in Michigan, I think they are, or Illinois, one of those cold places, and let them know what we've done today. This is wonderful.
I thought you were going to let them know they don't need to come back. And leave them up in Michigan.
That's their excuse to come back.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, there being no other questions, thank you all for being here.